Anna Fields was the new face in town, bright-eyed and eager, while Dr. Lucas Meyer was the respected family man with everything to lose. When their paths crossed inside the quiet walls of Willow Creek Clinic, no one imagined the deadly chain of events that would follow. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, life moved at a slow and familiar pace. Tucked between forested hills and winding roads, it was the kind of place where everyone knew each other by name. So when a new face appeared at the local medical clinic in the summer of 2019, people took notice. Her name was Anna Fields, a 22-year-old nursing graduate who had just completed her studies at a community college in the city. With fresh ambition in her eyes and a warm, eager smile, Anna stepped into her internship ready to make a difference. She didn't say much about her past, and no one asked. People assumed she just wanted a fresh start. Anna quickly became known among the clinic staff as diligent and respectful. She was the kind of intern who showed up early, stayed late, and didn't complain. She assisted in routine checkups, organized patient files, and handled small tasks without fuss. But it wasn't just her work ethic that stood out. Anna had an almost magnetic presence. Her quiet charm, paired with her striking looks, drew attention. Some of the older nurses joked that she was too pretty for a place like this, but the comments were lighthearted, at least at first. It didn't take long before people noticed a change in Dr. Lucas Meyer, one of the clinic's senior physicians. At 38, Dr. Meyer had built a reputation for being meticulous, professional, and slightly aloof. He rarely mixed with younger staff and preferred to keep to himself. But after Anna arrived, something shifted. He smiled more often. He stayed longer after hours. People began to notice the two often walking down the hall at the same time, or bumping into each other near the supply room. It could have been a harmless coincidence, but in a town like Willow Creek, people like to talk. Dr. Meyer was married, with 2 children and a well-regarded position in the community. His wife Claire was often seen at charity events and PTA meetings. Together, they were considered one of the more stable couples in town. That's why the whispers were brushed aside at first. A married man and a young intern exchanging polite smiles didn't mean anything. But then came the overlapping lunch breaks, the closed office doors, and the quiet conversations that stopped as soon as someone walked by. By the time autumn settled over Willow Creek, the once quiet clinic had begun to feel different. Subtle changes crept in. Nothing obvious at first, just small, almost unnoticeable shifts in routine. Prescription pads occasionally went missing from the front desk. Files were sometimes misfiled, only to reappear later in the correct place. Nurses exchanged concerned glances, but with no major issues and no direct evidence of wrongdoing. It was easy to write it off as simple oversight. The clinic was busy after all. Mistakes happened. But then patients began reporting oddities with their medications. One elderly man mentioned being prescribed a higher dose of blood pressure pills than usual, though his records showed no such change. Another woman claimed her pharmacy gave her a drug she didn't recognize, though the clinic's files indicated nothing out of the ordinary. These incidents were scattered, and at first, easily explained by clerical errors. Still, the pattern raised eyebrows, and the clinic's administrator, Carol Denton, decided to quietly review recent prescription activity. While this quiet investigation unfolded, something else was becoming more noticeable. Anna's frequent presence in Dr. Meyer's office. Staff often saw her sitting at his desk while he was elsewhere, flipping through charts or tapping away on his computer. It wasn't uncommon for interns to assist with digital records, but Anna's level of access seemed unusually broad. When asked, she said she was helping with backlog paperwork, a task Dr. Meyer had supposedly assigned her. No one had the authority to say otherwise, and no one wanted to accuse the town's most trusted doctor of impropriety. Then, one evening, long after the clinic had closed, the janitor made an unexpected discovery. As he moved a chair to vacuum underneath, He spotted a white envelope wedged between the legs. Inside were several small pieces of lined paper, folded neatly. The contents included a list of prescription codes, drug names, and dosage instructions. What made them stand out were the signatures, each signed Dr. L. Meyer, each dated during the week he had been out of town on vacation with his family. The janitor turned the envelope into the clinic administrator the following morning. Carol, now increasingly suspicious, contacted the local health board and alerted law enforcement. An internal audit was launched immediately. When questioned, Dr. Meyer denied having written the prescriptions. His signature was familiar, but he insisted someone had copied it. His vacation dates were confirmed, and there was no way he could have authorized those scripts remotely. Attention quickly turned to Anna. She had been working those exact days and had access to the records and the prescription pads. But when confronted, she remained calm. She said she had never seen the envelope and had no idea how those papers had ended up under the chair. There were no fingerprints, no surveillance footage of her writing anything, and nothing that directly tied her to the forged prescriptions. Without solid proof, the investigation stalled, until tragedy struck a patient, turning suspicion into something far more serious. Martha Doyle had lived in Willow Creek her entire life. At 60 years old, she was well known in the community as a kind, quiet woman who volunteered at the library and brought cookies to every town fundraiser. She was healthy for her age, managing only minor aches and pains with the help of over-the-counter medicine. So when she visited the clinic for a routine checkup in late October, no one suspected it would be the last time she'd walk through its doors. Her visit was uneventful. Records showed she saw a physician assistant for a mild shoulder strain and was sent home with basic care instructions. But 2 days later, emergency services were called to her house after a neighbor noticed her newspapers piling up. When paramedics arrived, they found Martha unresponsive on her kitchen floor. The house was locked from the inside. There were no signs of a break-in, no injuries, and no apparent reason for her collapse. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The shock rippled through Willow Creek. How could someone so active and cheerful pass away so suddenly? Her family, devastated, insisted something didn't add up. An autopsy was ordered, and toxicology results revealed something chilling. Martha had lethal levels of a potent painkiller in her system, hydromorphone, a drug she had never been prescribed, at least not officially. Investigators immediately reviewed her recent clinic visit. The medical notes mentioned no prescription of opioids, just over-the-counter suggestions and rest. But a pharmacy 2 towns over had filled a prescription in Martha E.'s name for the exact drug found in her system. It had been called in by someone claiming to be from the clinic, using Dr. Meyer's license number. The pharmacy technician confirmed the call had come from the clinic's main line. The pieces were falling into place, and they pointed in one direction. Reviewing call logs revealed that a call had indeed been placed to that pharmacy on the same day Martha visited. Surveillance footage from the clinic, though grainy and partially obstructed, showed a figure matching Anna's build, using the staff phone near closing time. She had been alone in that part of the building, and Dr. Meyer was not on duty that day. Authorities brought Anna in for questioning. She maintained her innocence, claiming she didn't remember making any such call. She said she had only handled basic administrative duties and had never spoken with any pharmacy. But her unease was apparent. Her story was vague, her answers guarded. Despite the growing evidence, there still wasn't enough for an arrest. No fingerprints, no audio recording of the call, no hard proof of intent. But to the investigators, one thing was becoming clear. Someone had deliberately obtained a powerful narcotic in Martha Doyle's name and delivered it through a legitimate pharmacy. And someone at the clinic had made it happen. Whether Anna was a pawn, an accomplice, or the mastermind remained uncertain. But Martha's death was no longer seen as a tragic accident. It was the first undeniable sign that something sinister had taken root inside the walls of Willow Creek Clinic. With Martha Doyle's death now ruled suspicious, the investigation into the Willow Creek Clinic deepened. Detectives focused their attention on the clinic's digital records. Every login, every file access, and every prescription authorization was tracked in the clinic's system, even if someone tried to delete the data. What they found confirmed what many had begun to suspect. This was not a one-time mistake or an isolated incident. The system log showed multiple unauthorized entries into patient records over the course of 3 months. Many of these occurred during late hours, often after most staff had gone home. In each case, the accessed files belonged to patients who had been prescribed or discussed pain medications. Some were elderly, some had chronic conditions, and some had never been prescribed opioids before the suspicious activity began. The person logged in had used Anna's credentials. When presented with this information, Anna insisted she had never accessed those files and claimed her login must have been used by someone else. But the system also logged physical locations. Each access came from the same workstation Anna typically used during her shifts. At this point, the circumstantial evidence was mounting fast. Police obtained a warrant to search Anna's apartment. It was modest, tidy, and offered little at first glance. But inside a bedroom closet, buried behind clothes and nursing textbooks, investigators found something deeply troubling. A small, leather-bound notebook with worn pages lay at the bottom of a box. Inside were lists of patient names, drug dosages, dates, and handwritten notes about symptoms and reactions. Several of the names matched those of real patients from the clinic. Some were underlined, some crossed out. The implication was impossible to ignore. In the final pages of the notebook was something even more personal. A folded photograph. It showed Anna and Dr. Lucas Meyer sitting side by side on what looked like a hiking trail. They were smiling, close, more than just colleagues. The photo was time-stamped from early summer, shortly after Anna had begun working at the clinic. Until that moment, Dr. Meyer had downplayed their relationship, referring to Anna only as an intern he mentored. Now, there was proof that they had shared something more. Confronted with the photo, Dr. Meyer admitted to the affair. He said it had been brief, a mistake, and had ended months earlier. He claimed Anna had not taken it well and began to act unpredictably. According to him, she had grown obsessive and manipulative, threatening to reveal their relationship unless he gave her access to the clinic's systems. He said he had no knowledge of the prescriptions or the drugs found in Martha Doyle's system. He painted himself as a man who had made a poor personal decision, but was being framed for something far worse. Anna, on the other hand, stopped answering police questions. Her silence was unnerving. With the evidence piling up and public pressure mounting, prosecutors were preparing to bring charges. But what they didn't know was that the most shocking piece of the story was still waiting to surface. As prosecutors prepared to charge Anna Fields with multiple counts of prescription fraud and manslaughter in the death of Martha Doyle, the case seemed close to resolution. The public had already drawn its conclusions. In the court of opinion, Anna was guilty. A young, unstable intern who had fallen in love with a married doctor and spiraled out of control. But just when the legal team was finalizing their strategy, everything changed with a phone call from a hospital over 200 miles away. A woman had been admitted to the emergency room after a suspected overdose. She had been found unconscious in a motel bathroom, with no ID and no credit cards. Paramedics believed she'd intended to take her own life. Her belongings were minimal, but in her purse was a small, crumpled piece of paper. On it, scrawled in shaky handwriting, was a single line: "I'm sorry. Tell Dr. Meyer I loved him." Fingerprints confirmed what the hospital couldn't. The woman was Anna Fields. She had vanished 2 days before her arrest warrant was issued. Police had assumed she'd fled the town, maybe even left the state. Instead, she had remained close, spiraling quietly into a breakdown. Though still unconscious, her sudden reappearance shifted the entire investigation. Detectives retrieved Anna's phone from her bag, and once unlocked, it revealed a digital trail that no one expected. Among the deleted texts, emails, and voice memos, investigators discovered an audio file buried in a hidden folder. It was just over 2 minutes long. In the recording, Dr. Lucas Meyer's voice was unmistakable. The audio captured a tense exchange in which he told Anna to keep things quiet, and that what happened with Martha can trace back. He mentioned how he couldn't afford to lose everything: his family, his career, his life. He urged her to handle it, assuring her that he would make sure she's protected if anything came out. The tone wasn't affectionate. It was cold, calculating. The recording changed everything. Dr. Meyer was arrested the following day. He initially denied the voice was his, but forensic audio analysis confirmed the match. Faced with the evidence, he changed his story. He admitted to manipulating Anna, using their relationship to access restricted systems. He claimed he never intended for anyone to die, but acknowledged that he directed her to call in prescriptions under his license when he couldn't risk doing it himself. In court, the narrative flipped. Anna, once seen as the manipulator, was revealed to be a pawn in a much larger scheme. Under immense psychological pressure, she had complied with Meyer's demands, believing he cared for her and would protect her. In the end, he had abandoned her entirely, leaving her to take the fall. Dr. Meyer was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, conspiracy, and multiple counts of fraud. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Anna, though still held accountable for her role, was offered a plea deal. She received 5 years with the possibility of early release. The town of Willow Creek was left stunned. What had begun as a quiet internship became a tragedy marked by obsession, manipulation, and betrayal. A young lover from the clinic had lost everything for a man who never intended to stand by her. And in the end, it had all ended shockingly.